So I need to know what you guys are thinking about Miss Courtney Rhodes on this season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Because,
Mhm.
if you watch Carlos King's interview with Kenya Moore, she had a lot to say about Miss Courtney Rhodes, including the fact that she was homeless, okay, or at least didn't have a bed to sleep on of her own in her own home, okay? And we talked about that lack of fabulosity, so to speak, on the show. Well, Courtney is seemingly clapping back. And I want to know, Sky Squad, what are your thoughts on Courtney Rhodes? Should she be invited back for next season as a friend, as a full time housewife? I mean, what say you? Or should she be on the chop block? Okay. Chime down in the chatterization down below as we go through this story. Now, according to our friends over at Reality Chat, Courtney had some things to get off of her chest, the timing of which seems to be aligning with the premiere of part two of Carlos King's interview with Kenya Moore. All right. So Courtney says the energy you give after securing your career and bag, your investment accounts are solid. You're building a legacy jewelry brand. Your family and friends love you in real life. And you were approached and invited to join a reality show as a hobby. Heart emoji. She says hashtag winning in real life, hashtag Real Housewives of Atlanta. The your family and friends love you in real life part seems to be a slight bit of a dig at Kenya Moore, especially given some of the controversies that she's had perhaps with her mom, or I could be reading into it, and I'm perfectly okay with doing so, but it does seem like a pointed shot in her direction with regards to we didn't hear about what happened with Aunt Lori and all of that stuff that you guys were asking about with regards to Carlos's question to Kenya that we didn't really get answered in the interview. So that's one thing that Courtney had to say. She then went on to say, because someone asked, is it true you were laying on a friend's sofa? And Courtney responds and says, or appears to respond and say, LOL, not since my parents in high school. Desperate people in desperate situations make up desperate lies. Laughing emoji. And shout out to our friends over at Reality Chat for posting these comments. Now, um, um, she says desperate people in desperate situations make up desperate lies. Is there some level of desperation that, Kenya, she knows about Kenya that we don't know? Is Kenya on the alleged chopping block? Is that what she is trying to say? I mean, what is the desperation here with regards to Kenya? Now, I would say if you said, well, homegirl just don't like me, that's one thing, but the desperation part is very interesting, right? So I wonder what that means. However, it would seem as though we may be getting some answers to at least some of those questions potentially. Why is that, you say? Well, because Courtney will apparently be on next week's episode of Speak on It. Oh, yes. So the neighborhood talk happened to pick up this basically, if you watch Speak On It, we'll talk about Speak On It in just one second. All right. A commenter said, this feels weird to me, given everything she said about them behind their back, Kandi and Kenya. And now she's turned on Drew. I don't know what exactly Candy's doing, but okay. And so it says IG Team Kandi B. Tucker says, I swear y'all so sensitive. Y'all do know Kandi invites everyone on Speak On It, right? Drew was even invited. Mind you, Drew just shaded the heck out of Todd's movie that she's supposed to be in. Also, Kandi, real life friends know the real her. So whatever. All right, so let's get into it. I do think it's a big I think this is a big bold move, but I think it honestly may actually even be better than the episode next week. Who knows? Based on the way that the episodes have been going, the Speak On It have honestly been lit. And again, we will talk about this week's episode of Speak On It because this clip was actually featured at the end of this week's episode. I mean, of Speak On It, right? So we'll talk, like I said, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of how this came about in a second, but let's get into what Courtney had to say. That, I think, to me, that's more important than the fact that she was on Speak on It. Because again, we do know that Kandi does tend to invite everyone to speak on it. Whether or not they choose to show up is their own thing, right? So it's interesting the things that cousin Courtney is saying about Drew. I mean, she is going hard on Drew. She talks about Drew and Ralph's relationship being untraditional. She also talked, and Candy's like, untraditional. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Tell us more, cousin Courtney, because you seem to have newly arrived cousin Courtney seems to have some alleged tea, put the alleged badge up here, on this marriage that we don't quite know much about yet, or maybe it's going to be revealed. Based on Speak on It, I think some things will be revealed in the future, okay, in the upcoming episodes, in the upcoming reunion. All right. She also goes on to say that, usually her BS meter is high, but, Drew fooled her. And, Kandi goes on to say, well, Drew is a great actress. All right. A little bit of shade there. And so, which I mean, is shade, it's that's high level shade, when it's true, but it's also true in two ways. You know what I'm saying? The double-edged sword of it all. So Courtney then goes on to say, or she's a compulsive liar. So she's basically calling cousin Drew. Okay, we put up the quote, okay, for the cousin part, because I still need to see is your mama or daddy, okay, brother and sister, okay, with Ralph's mama or daddy. How is the cousin thing to come to be? All right. Or is y'all long distance related down the line? Or is y'all play cousins? Or y'all just playing? Let us know in the chatterization what y'all think. Okay. I honestly, for one, cannot wait to see this. It'll be interesting to see what if anything, she has to say about Kenya during the Speak on It, how that will go moving forward. I can't wait to see it. Give me all of the mess. All right. Um, Speaking of Speak on It, this week's episode featured Jamie, that's me. First of all, I want to just say shout out to Jamie, who looked amazing. Jamie was sitting up there actually looking like one of the housewives. I mean, she just looked so good and so radiant. So, and I thought she did a great job of really just asking genuine questions and giving her genuine thoughts about the season, echoing what a lot of us have been saying all season long about how the season just wasn't giving what it needed to give and how it could have been so much better. And one of the things that they talked about was this idea that Kandi wasn't really as around as much. And my follow-up question I wanted to sort of dive into was, why didn't production choose to, because we get some answers to some of this, as in production knew Kandi's schedule ahead of time, so that Portugal trip they could have scheduled it. Kandi says there was another week that they could have scheduled it, but they chose not to. So they give them their schedules ahead of the filming season, and so they know that Kandi is not going to be able to make certain things. But in the terms of the Portugal trip, they chose to still schedule the trip when they did. Now, regardless of why, I don't know. But what I will say is this: the also choosing not to follow Kandi in some of those instances, to me, was a bit of a mistake. Like, when we talk about fabulosity of the show, I want to see these, Kandi winning these Essence awards and things like that, or whatever award she won. I would have been nice to see some follow-up to the escape drama. Why not show some of that? Because just because it happened on a different show doesn't mean that we still couldn't get a follow-up on it, because Kandi is still a part of this show. Why couldn't we see some of the fallout of that? That would have been interesting, especially given the hype online. It would have seemed like y'all would have caught something from the fallout from that show. We had so many missed opportunities to show so many not only fabulous things, but also drama that I felt like the fans were really invested in, which we saw with the Escape and SWV show. So I just feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities, and I'm questioning, why not follow those things? Why not show Kenya and that salon, being built? You know what I'm saying? Fabulosity at its finest, because these women are building empires. Let us see that. Let us see it. All right. We also learned, interestingly enough, that apparently they had Tardy from the Party removed from the iTunes. Now, because she asked about, why, Kandi was kind of giving Kim so much grace and had put her as part of her cast, her one of her dream casts, when Kim then went on to say that she had issues, that Kim and Kim weren't okay. That's what Kim said in the episode. And so, we went back and talked about the Tardy for the Party of it all. And, they talked about how they had the actual original song removed. But the Tracy Young's remix is still available. However, when you look on the Tracy Young's, remix package, that the Tardy for the Party, I don't know if what sounds to me to be the original is still up there. So I don't know if Kim snuck and did that or what and included it as part of that remix pack. I really don't know. But it does seem like it's still there, because I went and I listened to it, and that was just at 9:59 a.m. this morning. Okay, so Kandi, you might want to double check on that one, and see and make sure they snatch that one too. Okay, because if you're not getting your coin, we mad. We all mad. Okay. And then it's one more thing that I wanted to talk to y'all about, because we had talked about it in the episode from yesterday where Kenya had brought up this most random bit of information in that interview about Marlo and this doggone chair. And y'all, listen, I asked about it. I said, where did this chairlift come from? So that the internets had to go and find the chairlift in Marlo's house. And by golly, here it is. Here it is. There in the circle is the chairlift. Okay. So the chairlift does exist. We have no idea why it's there. But what we do know is Kenya was not lying. Okay. Why is there a chairlift in the home? Okay. Maybe she lazy and don't feel like walking up the steps. I don't know. But y'all, I just wanted to point that out to y'all. They did find that chairlift, and here it is. Now, that's all the tea that we got for y'all for right now. I do have a love and hip hop review coming up a little bit later on today. So we'll definitely get into all that. But for right now, we will catch you all in the next video.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Burke and she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She ain't do that for me. I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let out all her dirty little secrets, just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
Let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out. She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?